Welcome to this Jaspersoft report video tutorial series. This video, we're going to create a sample reports and deploy these reports to Jaspersoft server. So now, without any further ado, let's get started. To start with, we'll be creating a sample report. Then later on, we're going to publish that report to our Jasper report server. If you watch the first video, I discussed on how to connect to our server. So in here, I already connect that from our first video. So for this demo, I'll be using MySQL. So for MySQL, I'll be using exam. So for you guys, you can use any database as long it is a MySQL. So just for this demonstration, I'll create a sample database and a table for this one. So a while ago, I already prepared the sample database. As you can see here, we have a database called DB sample and with a table name as employees. And we have a sample fields here, record. So this will be our sample data in creation of our Jasper reports. So let's start. So from here, so make sure it's a blank. So we'll prepare a blank workspace. So to start with, just click this file here, then click new. Then we'll select project. Then for our project, there's a bunch of here. So we can pick any from here. So just for this demonstration, just select this Jaspersoft Studio. Then click this Jasper Reports project. Then click next. Then from here, I'm going to say give it the name as my sample project. Then click finish. Okay, so right now we are on the my sample project. So as you can see, so this is our sample sample project. So let's move this a little closer. Okay, now how can we create our sample reports? So since we already have our project, so the next thing is we need to create a Jasper report. So by hitting click file, then new, and select Jasper report. So for our demonstration, we'll be using this first one, which is the blank E4. So notice there are a bunch of example of or a template to select from. But since this is a demo, so I'll prepare the blank. So let's say this one. So this is the standardized for mostly for all reports. So we're going to pick this one, click next. Then from here, we're going to select the project. So I'm going to select the my project, that the one that I created a while ago. And from here, let's change that file name to sample. Okay, sample JRXML. So this is the path or the extension for Jasper. Then hit finish. Let's move this a little closer. Okay. Okay, so this is the sample template or the blank page that we select a while ago. So notice here, we have some bunch of outlines. So this represents the sections in the report. So this section here. So let's say for this one, as you can see, we have the title, page header, column header. We have the data, column footer, page footer, summary, Okay, I guess that's the last one. So in every reports, these are the sections that we require to put on some information that we need. So since we're using MySQL, so the next thing we need to do is we need to connect this to MySQL. So to do that, I'm going to connect or call this database to our Jaspersoft. So head it back here, select this, the first one, select this name, the sample, right click, then click dataset and queries. Okay, but before that, let's head it back here. Okay, before we're going to proceed with this one, we don't have the connection yet. So I'll be using this sample DB. So from here, I'm going to create a connection. So right click this one here, then in the edit adapter. So by the way, you can create your own adapter information here. So since this is the available one, we can use this one as well. So let's say this is the sample adapter. So we're going to pick that database. So since we're using MySQL, so we're going to pick MySQL as our default database connection. So let's say here. So we have two examples of MySQL. I will choose this one, the com.mysql.jdbc driver. So because I'm going to use JDBC, pick that one. And for our connections, so we make sure that we're copying the correct path. So for localhost, let's say 3306, I think. And for our database, that is employees. So we can pick that. Employees. Okay, since this is a first installed, I don't have a password for that one. So let's test that. Okay. Now we have an error here because the JDBC connection or the driver that we're looking don't have the JDBC driver. So since all the driver here requires this one, we're going to download the driver from the specific website. So for MySQL, you can download that in here. Just search for connector J or the MySQL connector J. So once you search that, there's a bunch of selection here to choose from, but I would prefer to select this platform independent. So once select that, the next thing is go to the download page. Okay. Okay. For some cases, this is also a notice, but maybe because I already picked the previous one. So I'm going to go back in there, and then I'm going to refresh this one. Because sometimes it will move to the sections if you already pick the connector selection. So again, so let's say this is the default now. So let's try again picking the platform independent. Okay, there you go. So this is what we need. So in the platform independent, we have a compressed star. So you can pick any from here and hit download. So a while ago, I already downloaded this one. Okay, this one. So this is the tar, the connectors for that one. So what we need to do is we need to extract this one. What we really need here is this jar. So the jar is the connections or the connectivity to connect to your MySQL. So let's pick the location for this one. Let's say I'm going to create a folder somewhere here, drive C. And I'm going to name this one as JDBC. So take note, so this is the folder location. So I'm going to extract this jar only. So don't mind with the rest, so that's okay. Okay, good. So this is the jar. This is the very important connectors that we need to connect. So now that we have this one, let's close this one and head back here. Now from this section here, since this is a MySQL, click this driver class path. Then we need to add that jar file by clicking add. Okay. Then pick this PC, go to C and the location of your jar. So this one. And click open. Okay. Then click test. Okay. So in here, they said that this has a error indeed, access denied. So it means that this is a different error. So this is more on authentication. So let's head back to our database location. By default, MySQL is using root. Okay, you need to change that. So make sure you know your credentials. Then if it is okay, then click test. Okay, so the next one here, it says that unknown database employees. So let's check. Okay, yeah, correct, because I put DB sample is our database. So let's head back in there. So it should be DB samples. DB sample. Sample only. Okay, then test. Okay, good. Once you receive this prompt, so it means everything is okay. So click OK. Then finish. Okay, good. Once that we have already set up our connection, so this is the DB sample DB. That's the time we're going to connect that to our Jasper report. So to do that, we need to right click this section here in the outline, click dataset and query. Okay. Double click to refresh. Okay. Double click. Yes. No meta. Double click to refresh. Yes. No wonder. Because we didn't select the adapter. So make sure we select the adapter first. Then in our example, we use sample DB. And there you go. So just to make sure, always select the adapter. So now that we select our adapter, the next thing is we need to go to that database. So mine, we have the DB sample. And the table is the employees. Okay. And there you go. Now, in this area here, the requirements for this one is you need to perform a query command. So if you know the basic of query command, you should apply that in here. Let's say select all from employees. Okay, once this is okay, just click this read fields. Okay, so it should be displayed in this lower corner. And there you go. Now that we have this required field, so this is important. So connections, sample query, and fields here. So if these are all okay, then click OK. Okay, so in this section here, since we already finished the connection, you need to expand this one. Notice that these are the fields that we select or perform in the query a while ago. So to run that, let's say I'm going to arrange this one here. Okay. There's a bunch of information here. So since we're only focusing on the basic stuff, the requirements we need to display that in the detail section. So in here, this is our detail section. So notice if I drag this one and place that in the detail section, okay, this will create a header here, a title, you can say a header fields with the details. Now if I'm going to move that a little closer. Okay. Now that we have this one, let's try to preview only this field only. So to preview, we have this section here, source and preview. So just click preview. And there you go. Okay. Now that is how we preview our record. But there's a problem here. So as you can see, we only test the one column. So but the extension here, there's a big gap between each rows. Now to fix this one, very important here is we need to emphasize the compression. So let's say this one. By compressing this line or this section, this will lessen the extra stuff. So let's say this one. If I click preview, and there you go. So this will display in a compact manner. So that's what we are aiming here. So make sure we compress each line. So going back to our design. So let's continue this one. So this the next one is going to drag this last name. Put it here and here. Okay, so let's clean this up. Let's say for this one, I'm going to name this as first name. And this one is last name. Oops. Last name. Okay. So other than that, we can also fix this information. Let's say I'm going to move this a little closer. But before that, make sure you compress everything. Okay, so let's discuss about other features here. So let's say this one is not really presentable. So what we need to do is we need to fix this one by selecting this first name. So notice we have these properties here. We have the properties for that. So that is only for that particular text field. Now we have also this line here. I don't know if, oh yeah, you can still see. Maybe I need to move a little closer. So we have also here, we can align that text. So let's say going to move that to the center. Okay. Okay, so this bunch here that we can move. So if I move here, there's a section here that we need to move that either to the center or... So we can modify that. So let's do the same goes with this one. Last name, center. Okay, let's move this one here. Okay. Or maybe we can drag this one. Okay, so that should work. Okay, so I already moved the controls here. So this time, let's move to the center. It's already center. Then from the center, I'm going to center the text, clicking this one here. And there you go. So we can also set this to bold. Okay, so let's say we can also do this in both field. So let's say this one. What else? Okay, let's check some information here. Appearance, advance, underline. So we can pick here underline the true. Okay, good. So yeah, so that should be it. So let's try clicking preview. Oh, it's not center. So we need to center the content. So design. Also this two here, we need to center the value. Okay, so this is center. And okay, so let's try. And there you go. Cool. Okay, let's go back in there. We need to add more components. So let's say I'm going to add some titles here, more features on this section here. Okay. So from here, okay. So in this section here, these basic elements, you can insert another elements. So let's say this one, I'm going to click static text and drag here. You want to make this center, and let's say this is employee record. Okay, so let's center this one. And the text maybe a little bigger. There you go. And bold. So if we preview this one, cool. So now we have our employee records. Simple. Okay, so I think that is okay now. So let's let's move this one a little closer. Let's see. For the last time, let's review this one. Okay, good. Okay. Now that we have our sample records, the next thing we need to do now is to deploy our local reports to our server. So notice here, I already connect that server. So make sure you are connected to your Jaspersoft server. Okay. Now in this section, always deploy this in this report section here. Okay. So to deploy that, let's say I'm going to create a new folder here. So right click, click new. So just create a folder. So let's say I'm going to name this as my sample reports. Then hit finish. Okay, so now we have our section here. So this will be our dropping area. So this is where we're going to deploy our reports. Now to do that, let's deploy that by clicking this button here. Publish the file on Jasper report. So click publish. Then from our Jasper report server, select on reports, my sample reports. Okay. So you can change also these label here. So let's say I'm going to name this as employee records. Okay, so click next. I have to move this to the center so that we can probably see. Okay, from next, then we need to pick from our data source. Okay. So let's say we don't have the data source yet. Okay, so I'll prefer don't use any data source. We're going to configure that in our server. So just deploy this one. Why did I not creating a repository? Just simply because I want to do this in our server. Okay, so it's already published. Now once we log in here, okay, so from here we need to log in again. Take note the username and password is Jasper admin. Now if you're going to scan our reports here, so it's already here, but if you're going to open that, okay, this resolved to empty records simply because we don't have the connection. So make sure we have the connection as well. So to do that, we need to use that or create a data source connection in this section here. Okay, so let's say we can pick or copy. Okay, let's say this one. So this is a JDBC. I can copy this one so that it won't overwrite. Copy, then paste, and there you go. Okay, the reason I did this one is simply not to override the content. So let's update this one. So click edit. Okay. So from here, I'm going to pick this MySQL database. Now, notice that here, it's already installed, so no need for me to install the driver. But if you found out that that driver is not present, that's the time you install the JDBC. So for now, I'm just going to pick this MySQL driver. So just fill up the requirements here. For me, this is the TB sample. Let's check once more, TB sample. Then I just leave it as this. For the username, it's root. Password, since we don't have password, let's leave it blank. And let's try the text connection. Pass. Okay, so this is okay. So click save. Okay. So maybe we can change the name of this one. So let's say sample employee data source. Okay, so make sure we save that on the correct path. Actually, you can save that in different, I want to full screen this one. Okay, so this is the full screen. So actually, you can also create a new folder for this one. But just for the reference, I'm going to save that in the data source. Save. And there you go. So this is our sample employee data source. Now let's go back to our report. In here, so let's edit that one. Then we're going to let's try this one. Local file. Okay. So these are the selections that we need to focus on. So we have the controls and resources, but a while ago we just focused on this data source. So click this data source. Okay, so from this section here, click this select data source from the repository. So let's try this one. Then click data source. then sample employee data source and click select. Okay, good. So other than that, we have also these queries here. If you want to modify the query, okay. But for this demo, we're just focusing on the data source. So this one seems good. So just click submit. Then if we are okay, let's try to click this one. And there you go. So let's make this a little closer. Okay, good. So that's it, guys. So this is how we deploy our reports. So notice we don't need anymore the local stuff, but if we make some changes in the local, let's see here, we can still do so and then publish that report as well. So there's no problem with that. So take note. So this is the power of the Jaspersoft server. Later on, you can use this to connect that with your front end or back end. So that's it, guys. So that's how you're going to, or that's how you publish or deploy your reports in Jaspersoft server using Jaspersoft Studio. Okay, so that's it. So if you found this video informative, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. See you guys on the next video series. Cheers!